First question, when did Mzansi hip hop evolve? I think that's a broad question, but because it's either commercially or just in the space. But like Prophets of the City, obviously, and Prophets of the City and Black Noise literally were the pioneers of hip hop in South Africa, and they were traveling the world. And Skwatta Camp introduced the mainstream aspect of South African hip hop, and that's when we started seeing greater participation because we were rooted in Joburg, where most things happen, while Pure C and Black Noise were from Cape Town. So easily one could say it's started really evolving commercially around 2003, 2004, but from existing, it could have easily been like 1990 or something like that. I mean, we are on 40 years of hip hop in South Africa this year. Good and bad things about Mzansi hip hop. I mean, at the time when we started, we were trying to convince everyone in the market that hip hop is viable. The challenges was that the market felt that it was an American thing because they'd experienced hip hop from international acts. So we almost look like copycats and we look like it wasn't original. So first you got resistance from your community, then you got resistance from radio, you got resistance from consumers, from business. So it was the first thing that we needed to do with hip hop was convert people to see hip hop from a South African lens through South African artists. And I think that was really the challenges of it when it started back. And the good thing was that it was highly communal. The people who were doing hip hop literally stuck together, although we had to have factions of guys who were competing because it's competitive. But essentially, um, we stuck together and we all had one goal and we all wanted to have one voice and we shared the same platforms. So I think that was really the most powerful part of it when it started is it was the unity with different camps and different people from different areas. It brought communities together. Back in the days, crews used to be stronger. Nowadays, artists prefer going solo. I think everything is a sign of times. What you don't know, you don't know. The biggest group at the time was Wu-Tang Clan, you know. You had groups like Onyx, you had groups like Fushnikins, you had groups like De La Soul, you had groups like De La Soul, I mean, there were so many hip hop groups that it felt like it was a norm. And yes, you had your solo artists, but the group thing was more a thing back then. So So I guess, it wasn't a matter of survival because we weren't in it for money. We were in it for because we enjoyed the sport. And firstly, we never even thought we'd make money from it. So, when we did start making money, the money that we made was was a lot for us, even though it was a little and we split it, but it was still a lot, and we figured out how to survive. It's not like we're looking at at a benchmark of this is how much we should have, and we don't have enough, so we're struggling. No, it was never like that. So that was the survival wasn't like a question. It was like you weren't going to get the money, you're getting it now. How do you use it best? I don't think hip hop needed to survive. It coexisted. The question of how anything survives is almost like saying, how did a group of young people survive in an environment where there was a larger group of other young people who were interested in anything, in something else? It was just coexisting. There was no need to survive. It's tastes. We see it in the world of social media, world of algorithms. People have different tastes, and you can have a small community that has a certain taste. So I don't think it was a matter of surviving. It was just the community that was coexisting and was also gradually growing at the same time. I mean, Umoya is an example of a song that was in part of our creative process. It wasn't even the song that we had earmarked as a single. We were looking at a song like Animal in the album to release as a single. The album was in Kuku Function. We were looking at Animal as a single. So Umoya wasn't even a song we had foreseen to becoming a single because the sound was different. It never sounded like the hip hop songs that were out there at the time. You had Animal, which was they had the aggression of hip hop and the bounce of hip hop and the metaphorical approach, and that's what we thought was going to be our song because when people heard that they just caught it right. But Umoya radio played it and like we saw how the crowd received it. It was really the song that changed the trajectory and the perception of South African um, hip hop from an audio perspective for the masses. So we never saw that coming. Everything is in hindsight at this point versus us in the process saying we know this is what the song is going to say. Would I say that Amapiano is killing SA, is silencing or killing SA hip hop? I think that like every genre has its phase. Similarly to Kwaito has its phase and hip hop then had its phase. Then right up on then there was Afro pop and Afro pop was the thing and then hip hop then came back again. And then you had house a little bit, and then you had like Amapiano, then you had Tom, then you had Amapiano. Everything has its phase and everything has a window of existence, and sometimes it's not the genre that is dying, but or rather it's not the genre that's dying, but it's actually the youth that's evolving. You find a new group of young people who have a particular sound, whether that is my piano, and there's a new generation of young people who have another sound. But what we're seeing today is that kids are not even basing their interest in music based on one genre. We have this variety of interests in music right now, where people are doing different genres. So I don't think it's dying. I think once again it's coexisting, but it's not coexisting with the momentum it had a few years ago. Um, and and it's the natural course of consumer and music genres. Uh, do I think the genre will never die because it's like the piano guys dressed like the hip hop guys. It's just a sound. It's really just like a sound that literally evolves. So I don't know. You look at Uncle Waffle, she look completely like she's a hip hop chick. So it's just a sound. But the hip hop will never die if you look at like the music, I mean the culture. Hip hop won't die. Hip hop will always be the wardrobe. It'll always be the move. It'll always be the mind state. It'll always be coexisting in young people's mind. It'll always be the rebel, that's what hip hop is. So maybe the sound is not impactful as it was, but I don't see it dying you know. Let alone, I don't think Kwaito died too. I just always think that it evolved to become what is Amapiano today.